We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
Tick, tick, boom.
Hard body, and not scaring nobody. You make me resort to wildin'. You must be blind by the diamonds. I didn't want it to be this way, but y'all won't need to try this. So it's no way around it. You the loudest one, it's going quiet. We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
It's go, 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 go time. Tick, tick, boom.
You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me?
We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to our special Tuesday night show. No, Monday night show. It's a Monday night show. Usually we do this on Tuesdays, but you knew that by now. So anyway, we're just doing this little bonus show this week because I'm in the mood to talk. So because there's just been so much going on. I really haven't taken in Friday yet. I feel like I haven't had time to I was in such a whirlwind all weekend. My Friday was crazy, obviously. Got there early in the morning, protesting, wild shit. And by the way, we are looking into, I talked to a lawyer today about that. It's definitely a First Amendment violation, what they did by blocking the courthouse steps like that. It's a big no-no. You can't do that. You have a right to assemble on the courthouse steps and protest and say whatever you want on there. It's just a matter of how much work do I feel like doing? How much big of a stink do I have to make about this? I think something would have to be filed in federal court, I'm pretty sure. But again, because they are not allowed to do that. What they did was unconstitutional. They also, I don't know if you guys noticed this, and another thing I want to write about, the state police attempted to told when Karen Reed's people got dropped off, they wouldn't let them drop them off there. So they were obviously told ahead, don't let them do that. They did it anyway, and Alan Jackson just I think he told them arrest me. You want to arrest me? Arrest me. So that happened. And it's just all this shit. It's they're not even trying to hide the fact that they are openly violating your civil rights and your civil liberties. And they just don't give a shit because they're just tyrants. And that's how tyrants do. But we're never going to stop. We're never, ever going to stop because we ain't got no quit. We ain't got no quit, as Alan Jackson said. So, yeah. So there's that. And then the rest of the day, obviously, I couldn't go back to Worcester County. It's a hike and then go back to Taunton. So I just killed time, man. And I went on a trip. And so I'll give you guys a little spoiler alert. So I went to Easton on Friday to the home went to 75 Elm Street in Easton, which is where, as I heard that Tristan Morris lives with Caitlin Albert, the oldest daughter of Brian Albert, because I heard they have a Ford Edge. And I went to their house and I saw the mail in the mailbox, and it's his house. And I knocked on the door and heard a very loud and aggressive German Shepherd in there. Now, a lot of people thinking it's Chloe. It's not Chloe. I've seen the pictures from Caitlin's Instagram. She's posted videos and pictures of the dog. I've already went down that rabbit hole months ago. It is not Chloe. These people just have a thing for aggressive German Shepherds. So I heard the dog there. So I knew it was the house. There's no cars in the driveway. But then, Turtle Riders went by there today, some Easton Turtle Riders, and they got a picture of the car. Boom. White Ford Edge. So there's a white Ford Edge at the house. Another one. Because keep in mind, man, Caitlin Albert says she left that house at 12:15. She says she left that house at 12:15. No, she didn't say that. Her parents said that because she wasn't even interviewed. And that made no sense. The Caitlin Albert leaving at 12:15 after she took her parents out to dinner and drinks at the bar. Who does that? That's weird. just partying with her parents, and then is like, yeah, time for bed. Well, you guys play beer pong with John O'Keefe and whoever else, and I'm out of here before John O'Keefe gets here. Yep, I'm gonna get out of here. Well, she's been grand jury, which I assume means at this point that the feds got her in the house when John O'Keefe was there. So we'll see what time she's now. I'm sure she must have changed her story then to a different time. And I'm assuming that she said that, you know, I went back to Tristan's house. I'm guessing, which means she did say that Tristan was a ride home. So Brian and Caitlin said that, Brian and Nicole said that as well, that Tristan was the ride home. So if Tristan's the ride home, right, then he brought her back. Let's see, he brought her back to Easton. What time could he be back there for? Or maybe Tristan was in the house the whole time too. Maybe he was. Tristan suddenly is no longer on the Canton police list. Interesting. And I heard Tristan's a total asshole, like the biggest douchebag. So it's my pleasure to write about Tristan. So we'll see what comes of that. These people love Ford Edges, man. They love to drive the Ford Edge. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it just like there's Flucky was like Ford Edge, and he's just like, he told me it wasn't Albert's. If you remember that, he told and Lally brought this up in court the other day. He told the PI that the PI brought him to the house and pointed out a Ford Edge in the parking lot or something. Like, he goes, does it look like one of those? And he's like, yeah, that one. And he pointed to Brian's black Ford Edge. And Lally's like, see, he was putting words in his mouth. Okay. Well, he didn't say that with me. He actually said it wasn't Brian Albert's Ford Edge, because Brian Albert drives a black Ford Edge. And Lucky's colorblind, apparently, of course. And he said he saw a tan Ford Edge. And so tan comes across as lighter. And Tristan drives a white Ford Edge, a white one, kind of a girl color, but he drives a white Ford Edge. So, well, I mean, I don't know what is with Ford Edge and these people. They love that car. What's so good about a Ford Edge? Is it bigger than an Escape? Is it is it like the Nissan Murano of like, what is? I don't even understand why is this car so popular with these people? I don't get it. Is it good on gas mileage? I don't know. But anyway, we'll see what comes of that, because he owns Ford Edge. And I have sources telling me that there's another Albert who owns a Ford Edge. And he's a police officer who lives in Canton, and he's known as Detective Sergeant. And he also owns a Ford Edge. And I have a hard time believing that this Albert would not be one of the first people that they would call to come over. So I don't know whose Ford Edge that is, but I'll almost guarantee you it's one of three people's Ford Edge. Colin Albert's, Tristan Morris's, or Kevin Albert's. It's got to be one of them. Again, the police can investigate that. It's their job. They know it's a Ford Edge. They know three Alberts now, and Brian. So four, including Brian, that drive a Ford Edge. What have they done to look for who was driving that? We know they've looked into me for wiretapping. They've got that part down. Like, they've put a lot of man hours into that, the crusty panties angle. But we'll see. So anyway, so yeah, I really haven't had time to like compress and enjoy, like, because there's just so much to consume. You get home, you're like, I want to watch it all. I want to read all the comments and watch the stream and see what people are saying during it, and rewatch and see what I missed. Like, there's so much shit to go over, including the 2-hour hearing, which we went over on Saturday night. And, you know, NFL's on Sunday. I don't really do much on Sundays. I got to mow the lawn, do some shit. I got my kid's soccer. My son had football at 10:30. No, he had soccer at 10:30, scored a goal. Then he had flag football at 12. And then my daughter's got soccer at 2. And so that's the whole day. And then this Sunday comes around, and it's just nonstop shit. The Patriots are on. I haven't had time to like enjoy this and look it all over and watch all the commentary. But I did watch some of the Court TV commentary, and oh my God. These people. I don't know where Court TV finds these people, but all I'm saying is no amnesty. Like, no amnesty. When this is over and Karen Reed's cleared and the bad guys are indicted, I want all of their words to come back to haunt them, and we're going to remember their names. We're going to document it all. That's why I'm doing this show tonight, to document it all. None of these people are allowed to go back to polite society and go back on court TV again and then just move on to the next topic. I'm not allowing it. This is going to follow them around forever. If they want to simp for cop killers, then let them simp for cop killers. That will be their MO for the rest of their life. Remember that time you simped for cop killers? You stood up for cop killers? Yeah, that's you. Shut the fuck up. You don't get to talk ever again. You simped for cop killers. You filthy, disgusting pigs. And that includes Kof and Dave for the whole crew. All of them. And she's going to be on the list tonight too. But there's other people like her. I'm so sick of TV, of court TV platforming these morons who have done no research into this case whatsoever, but their default is to just automatically believe that a conspiracy theory is a crazy thing because that's what they've been told. Like, we trust institutions, right? It's just so fucking lazy. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Okay. So, let's jump. Oh, if anybody wants to donate too, I did put the link up to the Turtle Chat. You know the deal by now. I'll get an email notification with your message, and I'll read it out loud to the class if you click on that thing. So got a couple here already. This was actually from the other night. I missed. Annette sent $10 and said, "So are they going to arrest John's arms for dog DNA? What's going on with that?" Well, they can't find his tissue samples. They've disappeared. So there's that. And that was the plan. Yes. Turtle Lover sends $10 and says, "Are there members of John O'Keefe's family in law enforcement?" No, there's just Paul, Dopey Paul, and who I found out today. Dopey Paul was the captain of the Stonehill College football team. He was actually the quarterback in the late 90s. And guess who was on the team as well with him? Right? Guess who was actually, I think he was a lineman. Believe it or not, this guy's a lineman. That would be State Police Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully, was a college football teammate of Paul O'Keefe. Now, so that would explain, why does Paul O'Keefe trust these people so much? Oh, his old football buddies. His old football buddies in charge. So there's that. Maybe that's why Paul trusts them, because, oh yeah, he knows my buddy from Stonehill College wouldn't do me wrong, right? He wouldn't do me wrong. That's my pal. That's my pal right there. He blocked for me. He protected me in college. He would never do me wrong. He did you wrong, Paul. He did you wrong. And maybe you should be more concerned with him than you are with Nathan Reed, who you had some inappropriate words for on the way into that courtroom. So no, John was buried. John was buried. So anyway, next Turtle Chat here before we get into this. DW sends $10 and says, "This small donation made in honor of Troll Tom. May science cure your CTE, you slow little man." Who's Troll Tom? There's so many trolls, I can't keep track. Thank you very much, DW. Mandy sends $10 as well. It says, "D&E pizza is kind of gross and greasy. Remember, they can't even pay for pepperoni. Only friends of Krusty eat there." Yeah, they do. And he had another tax lien on him this week. Chris Albert did. Another fucking tax lien that we have to get into. There's so much shit. Okay, next Turtle Dono here. Michelle sends $10 and says, "You're killing it. Keep being you. I appreciate all the hard work you're doing for Karen and John." As it could be any one of us. You're right about that, Michelle. I appreciate that. NDF sends $10 and says, if the FBI had anything on this case, they would have to provide exculpatory evidence to the defense. Of course, the defense can't tell us if they have anything, but I am curious why the prosecution would still be fighting this if they know that there is such evidence. Just plain crazy. That's a good point. But I'm not entirely sure that's all true. I can't say definitively. I've heard different things about this, that what I've been told is the FBI is not going to allow this to go to trial, that they'll step in before that happens. But at the same time, like, they have Brian Albert's phone. You know that, right? Like, they have Brian Albert's phone. There's no way they don't. They have the geofence. They got it all. But I would assume they're building a much bigger case than just them. Remember the indictment against Monica Cannon-Grant? That took almost a year in the making. Monica Cannon-Grant. Last week, they arrested Eric LaBarge, the enforcer for Eric Spofford, the douchebag. And they're going to get him next, too. Eric Spofford's the next domino to drop in that affair. And that took a long time, over a year, to get those guys. So the feds, when they do an indictment, it's long. Now, obviously, if you're Karen Reed, you're like, what the fuck? Be nice to get this over with. But I'm told, and I would assume, that they're not going to let that happen. They would not do that to Karen Reed. They can't. And I'm just so sick of this shit. When I saw that, and we'll talk about this tomorrow night in the live show, when I saw like the story I wrote today about the incident outside of D&E Pizza, it's just like that fucking angers me so much. Oh my God, I want to smash something. They don't do that when I'm around. None of these motherfuckers gets bold when Turtle Boy comes to Canton. None of these motherfuckers gets bold. Oh, and I saw the people being like, oh, I was going to call myself daddy there, but some of you whiny cunts are out there complaining. Oh my God, I want to smack people today with the comments. Oh, it's going to his head. He's an ego. Are you fucking new here? This is how I've always talked the entire fucking time. That's the one thing around. There's too many new people here. They don't understand Turtle Boy. I've been speaking the same way since the beginning of time, folks. It's who I am. I'm not arrogant. I'm none of those things. I'm not egocentric. I'm just brash. And it's like also humor. It's humor. Like, you don't actually have to call me daddy. It's just funny. I said it one time as like a joke and people kind of ran with it. And that's it. Who's your daddy? Exactly. Oh my God, though. Did you guys see that email I got today? Can we just make fun of this email real quick before we get started? We got to make fun of this email from Patrick McCarthy, whoever this noob is. I mean, I just want to, oh my God. I know, so distracting here. At least you don't have to hear me rap anymore. A lot of people like the raps, Bob. A lot of people like the raps. But yeah, I haven't done that in a while. So this is the email this dude sends me. He goes, hey, buddy. No need to first of all, for you and only you, no need to publicly embarrass you. So he thinks that if he posted this, it would embarrass me. I would be the one embarrassed by this. He's like doing me a favor and saying, oh, don't worry. I'm not going to embarrass you, man. I'm going to help you out with that. Okay. Then he says, I have donated to you and Karen Reed. Appreciate all your hard work. Cool. Thanks. You can just stop there. And then he goes, you have lost my support. Okay. You have no right to put on a uniform, police, fire, or military. Posing in a state police uniform and cover is outrageous. Okay. Stop. Let me just be very careful, very clear to Pat, because you're obviously new here, Pat. Let me be very clear to you. I have no desire whatsoever to have you as a fan. I don't like you. I hate you. It was only a matter of time until I offended you so much until you left. You suck. You really suck. Nobody likes you. Every single person you've come in contact with your entire life hates you. They talk shit about you the second you leave the room. You're a miserable loser. And I couldn't be happier to be rid of you. Let me be very clear about that. But just the way you start off this sentence, Patrick, he says, you have no right to put on a uniform, police, fire, military. Let me be very clear, Patrick. I have the right to do whatever the fuck I want to do. Whatever I want to do. Let's be very clear about that. I have the right to put on whatever clothing that I deem fit and take pictures of them. Okay. Posing in a state police uniform and cover is outrageous. You know what's outrageous? State police murdering people or covering up the murders of people. Like, especially when they're cops. Like, maybe you should be like Michael Proctor plays dress up every day as a state trooper. He's not actually a state trooper. He's just a criminal. Like, that's all he is. He dresses up as one. But, you know, I put on a uniform once. You have no idea the context of that picture. Because you're new here. You don't get it. People who have been around longer than 5 months get it. They know. I'll give you the quick history of that. That uniform belonged to somebody by the name of Leah Gendusa. That's why it's so small. Okay. She was a state trooper until daddy came along and exposed her as being a drug dealing money launderer. And then she had to resign that day, or she had to quit her job that day. They put her on a leave and she resigned 6 months later. 2 years later, she messages me, says she wants to make up, comes on the live show. We do an interview. She schmoozes over the fans. She kind of does, you know, she's another one. Another one like the Krusty and other people who kind of came on my platform and built their own brand within my platform. Like she did that. I mean, that was all by design. And she was very likable at first, and people liked her in the comments. And that's another good point, Melinda. Like, do we not do, is Halloween not, wait till he sees Halloween or, you know, the Village people, yeah, anybody like that, or movie stuff, people playing cops in movies. How about that? Oh my goodness gracious. So anyway, she messaged me and, came on the show, and people liked her because she was very charming and she had the Jenny in the Block thing going on. I guess Deb didn't like her. Okay. Deb didn't like her. And, you know, she said that she was on, she's like, let's go out. We should bury this over a drink sometime. You should like go out for a drink. Okay. And I did. And that night, that's when I like that's how the uniform came on. Was that the first night, and you can fill in the blanks from there. Okay. Long story short, there's some pictures on the internet now. Okay. And that's it. So you don't know the story, my dude. I'm not actually like impersonating a cop. Actually, the woman who owned that uniform, she was impersonating a cop for about 4 years. So there's that. Anyway, back to this. Okay. So he also says to me that the photo is offensive to anyone who has ever served, including myself. Oh, go fuck yourself. Have you guys ever seen the Sopranos episode where they find out Vito's gay? And Paulie Walnut's response to that is, he's like, how could he do this to me? I feel so betrayed. Like Paulie's like Vito is sucking a dick somewhere and being like, take that, Paulie. Yeah, take that, Paulie. I'm going to swallow this guy's cum just to stick it to Paulie. It's not all about you, dude. Like, Jesus Christ. It's a personal insult to you. Oh, get over yourself. It's just, that's the first thing I thought of. This guy thinks he's Paulie Walnuts. Oh my God. Like, it personally offended you. Your bully performance on Friday was a disgrace. Yelling and swearing at a police officer. Well, Bukkaki's not a police officer. He dresses up as a cop. Has shown that you're out of control, and your recent recognition has gone to your head. See, some people have said this, that it's gone to your head. Like, no, I've always been like this. This is how I always am. I'm brash. I'm extremely confident. That's one thing I don't lack is confidence, but there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. I'm not arrogant, but I'm extremely confident, right? I've never lacked self-confidence, but I also don't think I'm king shit. I realize I'm fallible. I realize that I am certainly imperfect, right? And that, you know, like I'm flawed too, right? But I'm still confident. Like there's a big difference. Okay. So let's be very clear about that. And he goes on to say, you're a prick and it great. This works. There you go. Thank you very much. So he goes on to say, and I'll take that as a compliment. That's really nice, actually. He goes, yelling and swearing at a police officer, a fake cop, has shown that you are out of control and it's gone to your head. Over 30 years as a local cop. Oh, so he's a boomer. Okay. Not a fan of MSP, but you have crossed the line. You have lost your focus. It's not about you. Shame on you. Okay. And so my response, so I write this very sarcastic response. And I said, hey, Pat, I'm sorry I lost your support because I said mean words to a corrupt state trooper who was covering up the murder of a cop and actively framing a woman. Now that I think about it, you make some good points. It's probably better that Detective Bukkake pursue wiretapping charges against me instead of figuring out who was driving that Ford Edge parked where John O'Keefe's body was later discovered. I'm also so sorry for putting on someone else's old state police uniform, posing for a funny picture. That's the other thing, my dude. It's called satire. Like, it's funny. Like, the whole concept was funny. Like me, like she doesn't wear that uniform anymore because I did that to her. And that's what's kind of funny about it. Like, not only did I ruin your life, take away this dream job that you had, you never should have had, you didn't deserve, right? And as a trophy, I'm going to wear your uniform in your bedroom. Boom, roasted. Boom, roasted. All the revenge porn in the world couldn't add up to that. Like, I win. Daddy wins. There we go. Goes on to say, I go, I'm so sorry. I should have gotten your permission first. And I realized that this is a personal insult to you in particular. I will do better moving forward. Like I'm dressing, I'm putting on this uniform at her house, and I'm just like putting it on, and I'm going, yeah, take that, Pat McCarthy. Go fuck yourself. Ha! Fuck you, Pat McCarthy. You and your 30 years of service can go suck all the dicks. You fucking asshole. Like what? Who is this guy? You know? No. He's just he's the emailer of the day. Emailer of the day. Like I'm ranting because I'm dealing with a lot of stupid people lately. And it's just annoying me dealing with all these stupid people. And so let me read the rest of this guy's message here. Right. Just in that, because we're gonna have a good laugh and then move on, I promise. It's a Monday show. This is bonus. So he responds. So I write that obviously very sarcastic response, and he writes back, he goes, I learned a long time ago when working on a case to check your ego at the door. It's not about you. Oh my God, these boomer cops. Oh, these guys. Check my ego at the door. Dude, I'm being sarcastic to you. Like, oh, gee. Like, he thought he schooled me. So, anyway, that's Patrick McCarthy, whoever he is. He's apparently very offended by that. It was a personal attack on him wearing that uniform. Also, I didn't even notice. I forgot about this, too. I forgot about this, actually. Let me, and I posted this video, and I guess I didn't make it clear what was happening.
Long to die in cold.
I posted the David Yannetti, how long to die in cold video from court. I forgot. It's like, look at, you can see me back there. Watch this. I say it along with him. It's like a sing along. Watch this.
7 a.m. Googled long to die in cold. You did not.
I didn't even, somebody picked up on that. It's like, good. Turtle Riders are the best, man. Turtle Riders are the best. So, okay. So there's that. And let me just bang through a couple more turtle chats here, because they're starting to pour in. Holy shit, a Monday show. Holy shit. Oh, man, we got a bunch here. I'm going to bang through these as fast as I can. All right, Michael sends $25 and says, Friday was awesome, Turtle Boy. Thank you. Fire Belichick. Don't agree with that yet. Mike from Norwell. Appreciate that, Mike. D sends $23. He says, oh, my, is Paul Keefe the real-life Al Bundy? Al Bundy was, like, more pleasant. I don't know. Thank you. Sandra sends $25, says, keep speaking up and free Karen Reed. Thank you very much, Sandra. I appreciate that. Nick sends $20 and says, make sure to set up your pop-up store for Karen's fundraising event starting Wednesday. You can find it in the featured section in the Facebook group. Man, the Roccos are like all over this, man. So go check out that. Make sure to go set up your pop-up store for Karen's fundraising event starting Wednesday in the Facebook store. And by the way, it's like, some people messaged me today about that other group. So I said everything. I did an impromptu live last night about the 2-group thing because I just needed to be addressed. And I said what I said. And, you know, that's it. Everything I said on there, I stand by. It is what it is. And so other people were like, kind of started posting shit that they were saying in the other group on there. And I'm like, nope, Daddy had to come in and say, nope, we're not going to do that in here anymore. Even though it's just some outrageous shit, like just to show you how outrageous it, like that. Apparently that group has just turned into like a Turtleboy sucks. It gets turned into a Turtleboy sucks group from the things that were sent to me today. Like, and I don't take it personally, but I would encourage people to have some perspective here. Like if you're at the point where you're saying Turtleboy is the bad guy in this story, think about who you're being manipulated by. Just think about that for a moment. And apparently my friend Blanca there, whoever she is, posted links to something called Masshole Report, a blog published by a woman by the name of Krusty Panties, who lost 2 of her kids, is a complete psychopath, and who has for the last like 4 months dedicated herself to being the spokesperson for the Alberts and the McCabe's. So if you're posting links from Masshole Report on your group has officially become a pro-Albert, pro-McCabe group. That's it. Just keep that perspective. Like you're with the Alberts and the McCabe's now. Just know that you're against Turtleboy and you're with the Alberts and the McCabe's. So just take 5 seconds, really ponder that, and think about where you're at. So that's it. Like there's nothing more to say. I didn't post about it because I mean, fuck her. It's like that's so stupid. I mean that I was happy when she did it because I'm like, oh well, people will see now. Now you'll see once that shit starts going up. So you know, it is what it is over there. Anyway, thank you for that dono, Nick. Next up, we got unpaid time off, $10. Kevin Albert's salary, 162. Wow, he only got paid 62 grand last year. Interesting. Weird. Thank you. Barbie sends $10 and says, say hello to our newest turtle rider, Lulu. What's up, Lulu? Welcome aboard. Hope you don't mind foul language. Okay. Brian says, I am donating my soap and laundry money to you. Oh, you're going to need that in the can, Brian. Laura sends $10 and says, Mulligan, aka Plainview. Corruption does exist. Thank you for all you do, Turtle Boy. You talk about Detective John Mulligan from Trial 4, because I'm halfway through that and it's starting to get good. It's starting to get good. Dude, you know what? Oh my God. Some people send me the fucking dumbest story tips. Some guy calls me on my phone the other day from a blocked number. Like he's got some big, everybody thinks I got the big fucking tip. He calls me. Hello? Is this Turtle Boy? Yeah. Who's this? Usually, sometimes I do get some interesting tips, like somebody that wants to call from a blocked number and they don't want it. But some people just think they're more important than they are. And they all like, did you think about this theory? Nope. Shut the fuck up. Don't want to hear your stupid theory. He goes, Turtle Boy, you should relay the message to Karen Reed, if you can, that she should hire Rosemary Scarpecchio. That's the attorney for Jack Jones, Patriots guy, Sean Ellis, the Trial 4 guy. I'm like, you fucking called me to tell me that? Like what is your major malfunction that this is what you're doing with your fucking day? Calling Turtle Boy up and be like, hey, I have this great fucking idea that I can't keep to myself. I actually have the clue to solving this thing. She should fire Alan Jackson and hire Rosemary Scarpecchio. First of all, I'm sure she did consider her, because she's obviously very good with the police stuff. But Alan Jackson's the cell phone guy. It's just like, oh my God, these fucking people. Oh my God, these people who think they're, oh God, shut up. I kind of want to roast them more than the Alberts right now. I'm just so sick of these fucking people. Anyway, next one. Thank you very much, Laura. Shayna sends $10 and says, Jackie Dougal has the same teeth as Michelle Obama. And the same body. She may seem in on it, but she swears she's telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you very much, Shayna. Carrie sends $10, says, thoughts on them taking John in that side garage door right when he got there. Explains why Jen was texting him at a time he was inside. You got to explain the ascending and descending stairs, though. Also, maybe that's where Chloe was. Fuck Chloe. I'm so sick of hearing about Chloe. No offense. Lisa sends $25 and says, thank you for your humor and unapologetic honesty. When my youngest sees me wearing my AirPods, she always asks if I'm listening to Turtle Boy. You're a celebrity in my house. Hashtag free Karen Reed. Well, thank you very much, Lisa. I've heard that. I met a bunch of kids at the Taunton event who like who were like free Karen Reed. I like Turtle Boy, you know, and that's very cool. That's very cool that you're getting the kids involved in this, you know? All right, next. Kel sends $10 and says, when is the doctor coming to a board of selectmen meeting? Yeah, Chris Albert needs to resign. I do need to do that. Now, when's the next one? Let me know when the next one is. Maybe I can come to that. We'll see. It's on Tuesdays, right? My kid has soccer practice on Tuesdays. We'll see. Maybe my son can go to practice. I don't know. All right. Anyway, and that sends $10 and says people really need to take the stick out of their ass. I'm sure Pat and every other douche lord that complained about you today is on this live right now. Yeah, because honestly, where else are they going to go? Seriously, where else are they going to go for this news? Nowhere. Let me check the cash apps real quick. Oh, wow. I got a bunch here. Let me read some cash apps. Okay. Kevin MC the other night sent 25 and said, great job keeping it focused. You're the trooper now. Don't tell Pat McCarthy, whoever he is. Thank you very much. Brittany sends $10 and says, for diaper for Mike Gianetti's transgender baby. Sharon sends $15 and says, for keep telling the truth. Will do, Sharon. I appreciate that. David Barry sends 25 and says, for DTA, you're the one who is DTA. What's DTA? I know DTF, but DTA, you're the one who is saving Karen Reed. Well, I'm not, you know what? When this is all said and done, we'll create like a list of who helped Karen Reed the most. And you guys know, who do you think is going to be at the top of that list? And it's not me, because in this shows I'm not egocentric, because I would say it's me if I was. I'm not even top 2. Maybe might be not top 5. Who do you guys think is the number 1 person responsible? Like, who would you guys say is the number 1 person responsible for helping Karen Reed? I would put the Roccos above me, to be perfectly honest, because they've raised more money. But that's not who I was thinking of. They would be, the attorneys. If you want to put them in a group, I would do Yannetti, Jackson, and nice little tie, like number 2. I would put them number 2. But you know who I would put for number 1, man? Oh, Lucky's a good one too. But Lucky took a while to come out. But anyway, and Lucky's just doing his job. He's doing the right thing. I mean, Scanlon could have done a lot more, to be perfectly honest with you. But I would, number 1, and definitely Bill Reed, I would definitely put up there above me for sure. But the number 1 I would say is Karen Reed herself. None of this is happening without Karen Reed. Like, Karen Reed's a genius. She is clearly a very smart person because, I mean, a lot of criminal defendants, keep in mind, this is not David Yannetti and Alan Jackson's only client. So, like, they're busy people. And attorneys like to have clients that help you out, right? That make your job easier. And Karen is obviously a brilliant person who is clearly doing a lot of this research on her own. Like, who do you think found Courtney Proctor's Facebook page and all of those pictures of Jen McCabe's kids with Michael Proctor? Do you think David Yannetti found those? I mean, I like David Yannetti. He doesn't seem like a Facebook savant, like a social media guy. I would assume that Karen was the one that did all that research. I'm just guessing. And so, like, they fucked with the wrong person. Like, they fucked with a person that impresses me to no end, who I think is one of the smartest people like around. Like, they fucked with the worst person possible. Somebody who's, and because they had all the power. Like, they could have done, if they did this to 99 out of 100 people, they would have got him. But they did it to the one person you can't do it to. And I think she's way too fucking smart for them, man. That's why the first thing I asked Jen McCabe was, when I confronted her at that lacrosse game, was, did you think you could outsmart Karen Reed? Like, that, I was genuinely curious. Like, you're kind of an idiot. Like, you Googled how long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. Did you think you were going to outsmart Karen fucking Reed? Like, she's obviously brilliant. She's a freaking college professor. She's so much fucking smart. People trust her with their money, which really says more than anything. So there's that. I mean, I didn't find those. I just read the court filings, man. I just read a bunch of public documents. What have I done for this case? Amplify it. Like, that's been my big role. This story was out there for the taking the whole time. I just told it. I did the research. I put it all together with pictures and all that stuff. And I got sources. I found, I got in touch with several friends of hers who were able to help kind of put this together for me and do a little presentation. Because there's some things in those court docs that I didn't have, like pictures of Colin Albert and stuff like that. And then I did obviously more research from there about finding out where these people worked and what their families are like and all that stuff and their backgrounds. And so I have done a lot of research. I found Lucky law firm, but the defense had gotten to him first. Like, they had a PI with Lucky in February 2022, but I'm the first one to kind of put his name out there, and that got the ball rolling. So we've all played our part. And I do appreciate all the nice things people are saying about this. And I don't think I've done nothing, for sure. I think I've played a pretty big part in this. But Karen Reed is the real MVP. Karen Reed is the MVP of this whole thing, and followed closely by her attorneys, are very talented and very smart. attorneys and her very dedicated parents and brother. And then we come in, you know, and I can't say enough about the Rockos, man. How can anybody dislike them? They've raised over $50,000 fucking dollars. And I've talked to Nick about this before. He's like, he's like, all I care about is raising money for Karen Reed. That's it. Like, he just has a real passion for it. They really like doing it. So it's great. Erica Madden has been fantastic in hosting that whole thing. Like, these are volunteers. Shout out to Tom DeRozier, the sign guy, right? He's been really enthusiastic about this. I could go on and on and on about all the people who have helped out with this. So I really appreciate it, man. It's been a real group effort. It's not even close to done though. So we need to keep this up. So thank you, David. I appreciate that. Blurred Line sends $15 and says, "You're not old enough to be my daddy." That's true. Well, but I'm still your daddy. Blurred Lines, still your daddy. Alicia Smith sends $25 and says, "For a job well done." Thank you very much, Alicia. Appreciate that. John Silvera, speaking of MVP, John is a close friend of Karen Reed, who went to university with her, Bentley University, or is it Bentley College? Whatever. It's for smart business kids, basically. Bentley is like where you go if you want to major in business. And John's family goes to every court hearing. I've met his sister, his nephew, and his mother. They go to all the court appearances, and they donated a very generous sum to the Karen Reed Legal Defense Fund. It's 5 figures. You can go see it on there. And so thank you, John. And John is, you know, he's one of the people. He was a turtle rider before any of this. I believe he's the person one of the people that turned me on to this story. And so, like, obviously I'm going to ask him he's been very helpful, very, very helpful in this whole thing. So without those connections to Karen Reed, it would be more difficult for me to write this story, obviously. So John sends $100 and says, "We appreciate your tenacity and leadership. Thank you." Thank you, John. I appreciate that, sir. Jane sends $10 and says, "Auntie Bev is a fucking clown. We won't forget." You summed it up. How have we not thought to name her Auntie Beverage yet? Auntie Beverage. She looks like it. Jennifer sends $10 and says, "For daddy." Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate it. That's going to upset a lot of people. So just to let you know, people are going to get really mad about that. So thank you, Jennifer, for making people upset about that. There was one more Cash App I thought here from Adam. I think from Adam. Did it go through? Oh, Adam. Yeah. Adam says, "Sean in the Gulf is Facebook friends with Jillian Daniels," and he sends $25. Is he? I don't know. I mean, just because you're Facebook friends doesn't mean you're actually like a supporter of them. But I will tell Sean and them to be careful, because like, this is like when Kevin from Yellow Cottage Tales began to say kind of negative things about me. He was contacted by Krusty Panties and Lizzie Proctor within minutes, like minutes. And that's how they do. So like, these people, I'm sure they watched my stream last night and they're like, "Oh, he's having, you know, he disagreed with something this guy did. Let's get after him. I would bet they all sent him friend requests today. Now that doesn't mean he's friends with them though. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean he's like a traitor or anything like that. Anyone can accept a friend request. He could do reconnaissance on him that way. You know what I mean? So that doesn't mean that he's cool with them. So I disagree with that for a lot. You know what I mean? I would be friends with any of them, any of the Alberts or McCabe's. I send a friend request to Jen McCabe. She didn't accept it. She doesn't want to be my friend. So there's that. So yeah, it could be creeping on their page. Yeah. Like Facebook friends does not mean you're actually friends. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. And again, definitely not the road that I'm trying to go down as far as negativity. Ashley sends $10 and says, "How much do you think an attorney like Alan Jackson costs?" You can look up his rates online. Alan Jackson's hourly rate, I believe, is like $1,800 or $1,900 an hour. Liza Little's is like, I think it's over $1,000. Because those are LA prices. Like, the cost of living is extremely high out there. These people represent millionaires usually. And that's diamond, you know, whatever. That's just cost of doing business for people that hire them. Like Alan represents Saudi oil money. Like, it's just, people who have unlimited resources. So that's what makes me believe that Alan Jackson and David Yannetti, there is no way they're working on an hourly rate with Karen Reed. No way. The bill would be like $5 million. Like, it would be insane. So she must have, I'm assuming that she paid them a flat fee, because that's what most attorneys would do in this case. You just pay, you come with an agreement, and then obviously with them, the expenses would be, you have to fly us out there for this shit. So obviously they're not going to pay out of pocket for that. I mean, I'm sure they worked something out. And that's basically what we're paying. And that's why we're donating to her fund as much as possible, raising money to it, because they are fucking with them so badly and making them hire all these experts and fly them out. Like, dude, they flew them out for that May 25th evidentiary hearing that never happened. That was just how much did that cost? How much did that fucking cost? Insane. Okay. So thank you, Ashley. Patrick sends $77 and says, Lonely Carrie in Sebago says, great job, Turtleboy. Love these shows because it gives me something to do instead of dinner with my sister-in-law, Tracy. Okay. Don't know what that means, but thank you very much, Patrick, for the $77. Bobby sends $10 and says, sorry, off topic. Will you be doing a story on the death at Gillette last night? I saw the headlines to it. I don't know much about it. I mean, if you have a tip on that, send it to me. I'd be interested in looking into it. It sounds like a fight that went wrong. A season ticket holder got punched in the face and died by a Dolphins fan too. So we'll see. I mean, no arrest, right? Irma sends $50 and says, solid reporting. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Irma. I appreciate that. Kelly sends $25, says, Turtleboy, I would pay serious money to watch A Day in the Life of Aiden. He spelled it wrong. That's okay. That's have someone film a normal day for you. There is so much every day with this case. How do you do it all plus life? Keep on killing it. You're national news. Free Karen Reed. To an extent, the Boston Magazine reporter, she came to my house for 2 hours. She got the tour. She saw the Turtleboy studios down here in the basement. She saw my work desk and saw it all, where the magic happens, where we make the donuts. But maybe when this document, like, I am going to be doing a documentary. I'm not saying with who. I am going to be doing a documentary. And the documentary is supposed to be kind of like I'm the main character in it. So we'll see what happens. With that. Again, I don't want to count my chickens with that until it actually fucking gets produced and everything. But hopefully this has a potential to be extremely big. And I don't know what would the camera see? Well, first of all, you'd see me waking up in the morning and drinking my coffee and going online immediately and just reading messages. Like it takes me like 2 hours just to get through all my messages, because I got emails up the ass. I got the Clarence Woods Emerson Facebook Messenger. I don't even have time to read the Turtleboy messages. I have admins that do that. I got the Twitter messages. I got text messages, and I got to go through all of them and weed them all out. That takes a couple hours just to get, like, that's why I can't, like, it takes hours just to get through the messages. And then I'm like, okay, content, let's get going. Let's get some blogs going here. I want to put out 2 or 3 blogs a day. That's the goal. And I got a shitload of shit I got to get to. There's this fight at the Big E I want to get to. Like, there's other shit I want to get to. And that's the stressful part about it. And like, I'd like to get a little exercise in there at some point, because I'm trying not to be a fat ass. And then you got to get the kids on the bus at 8:30, and then they got to get them off the bus at 4:00. And then you got to do dinner. It's like, it's a regular person's day. We're all busy. Anybody with a job can relate to what I do. But the benefit of what I do is I get to work at home. Working at home is awesome. I am never going to have a fucking job again, ever. Like, never. I couldn't do it. I mean, I could if I had to, but I love working at home. I fucking love it. I love not having a commute, not having a boss. It's the greatest feeling in the world. So anyway, next. Okay. Do we have any more here? A couple more. And then I swear we're going to get started on the content. Joanne sends $50 and says Bentley University alum. Thank you very much, Joanne. Appreciate that. Bob sends $25 and says, Turtleboy, I had to read your blog twice today. I first thought it was a gag. This Albert McCabe crime syndicate is so fucking stupid. Can you make a few calls tonight? I get such a kick and laugh out of those, even when they don't answer. Maybe. If anyone can get me Denise and Bob's number, that would be great. I appreciate that. So that's the Turtle Chats. And then real quick, and then Cash App here. Melissa sends $20 and she says for just because. I appreciate that, Melissa, just because. So thank you. If anyone else wants to donate, the link is at the top, or you can cash at me at $ Uncle Turtleboy. All right, let's get started on this. It's 9:51. Okay, so the first thing here, we're gonna watch. So this is on this most recent weekend, or this is on Friday night after the court hearing, and 𝗵𝗵𝗂𝗃's on. Vinny's great. Vinny is fully on our team. I think it's safe to say at this point, fully on board with us. And just watch some of this.
A Boston police officer report for talking about up in the Boston area that there's this public outcry of support for someone accused of murdering a Boston police officer. Did you hear me?
This is great.
An outpouring of support for someone accused of murdering a Boston police officer. This is the scene in Dedham, Massachusetts, outside the courthouse today for another hearing in the case against Karen Reed. The victim in the case was her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, a Boston police officer. She's accused of murdering him with her car. Look at this.
Nick.
There's a truck.
There's a truck.
With a billboard. Justice. And then they have this incriminating Google search that they believe, the defense believes, is the key to.
And that right there was worth the price of it, guys. That, like, mission accomplished. Welcome to Marketing 101 right there, right? We were on the steps of the courthouse and we got the attention of the media and they talked about it. Like, and this is why it's important, because this is unusual. No, he's like, repeat, this is a criminal defendant on trial for murder. I've never seen this before. That catches people's attention. And when it does, they immediately think like something's up here, like something, let me look into this more. Like this, surely they can't all be stupid. They can't all be whack jobs. And it gets their attention. So we are making a difference.
The case to uncovering this. Listen, now remember, she's accused of
Okay,
murdering
so
her
I'm gonna fast forward
boyfriend
to the
with
panel.
her car.
We need to clip
Here
Alan,
is rare stories.
by the way. Can we get a clip of Alan Jackson's speech? Like just having the speech. That would be really cool to have.
By the evidence, and he doesn't like it. So you know what he does? He tells us, he tells you, stop it. His words, stop it.
We ain't got no quit.
We won't stop. We won't stop.
Yeah,
Quit
Karen.
with all the evidence. Quit with all the motions. Quit with all the arguments. Just go home and quit.
We got your back, Karen.
Something to say directly to Mr. Morrissey right here, right now. So listen up, sir. Now speak slowly so you understand.
Woo! Roasted.
Mr. Morrissey, we ain't got no quit.
We ain't got no quit.
Take a look on the stairs there. Did you see Karen Reed? I mean, smiling. I mean, this is an accused cop killer.
This is
smiling on the steps.
He's pointing this stuff out.
It's an aggressive defense.
It is.
That was what everything that was happening outside. You saw all the people that showed up. Well, a lot of them made their way inside the courtroom as well as the defense team was making their arguments in court today. Take a look.
Yeah, like this is good too. The laughing.
I expect that Mr. Lally will say something along the lines of, well, we were just trading on the idea that Maureen Hartnett at our crime lab microscopically confirmed that it was a human hair. And she did. What's the problem with that? She failed her proficiency exam the month before she did the examination. On the exact same issue.
Look at her brother. Look at her brother.
Mr. Laughlin was clear that it was not Brian Albert's Ford Edge. What he did not tell you, what Mr. Lally did not tell you is there's another member of the Albert family that has a Ford Edge. and that's calling out.
Oh, got him. Got him. Got him. So, I mean, this is wild and this is great because this is unusual. And you look at the crowd and it's not like a white trash crowd either. Like, we're the side that's dressed up. The blue jeans and the sweatshirts on the other side. The clowns. And you got no quit. I'm going to fast forward to the panel here. And
she dropped him
this is like the dumbest fucking, like, wait till you hear how, like,
off at the house. And then he ends up dead in the snow outside that home when she finds him the next morning with some other people who were at the party. So what happened here? What's going on inside the courtroom? Have you ever seen anything like this? Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight in New York City, former senior homicide prosecutor, founder of Villalona Law, Bernarda Villalona. In San Diego, California, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, Brian Watkins, and in Los Angeles, California, deputy public defender, LA County, Philip Dubé.
They have a deputy public defender, a New York, was she a prosecutor or a defense attorney?
And then he at the party. So what happened
Well,
here?
I just want to get their
What's going
names.
on inside this?
All right,
Bring
again, the
our
names
think
are.
tank. Joining us tonight in New York City, former senior homicide prosecutor, founder of Villalona Law, Bernarda Villalona.
Bernarda
in San Diego,
Villalona.
California, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, Brian Watkins, and
Brian
in Los Angeles, California, deputy public defender, LA County, Philip Dubé.
Okay.
This
So,
is that we're
again,
I don't know what's
like,
going on up there.
public-
I kind of know, but I don't know.
like public defender, you should be on the side of like the defense. I mean, this is the easiest one to have. Like, this is an easy one. And apparently all these people working, except for Watkins, works in defense, right? So event like this is the one, man. This is a good defendant to get behind. Let's see what they say.
Right? I mean, there is this public push. One of the leaders there, someone I had on my show a month ago. His
He
name
loves
is
me.
Turtleboy. He was inside the courtroom.
Vinny, shout out to
giving
the
the round
turtle.
of applause to the defense. Bernarda, reaction to what you're seeing outside.
Is he going to mention
inside
Sacramento
that
Vanzetti?
courtroom
It's
from the
only a matter of
public
time.
in a case of someone accused of murdering a Boston police officer.
Well, Vinny, I've had standing ovations when I make arguments in court. That has
What?
happened when I stand up and talk to the judge.
Like, this is how she starts it off. I've gotten standing ovations in court too. And her fucking kids are screaming the entire time. It drives me. You can hear her kids in the background the whole time. She's like, I've gotten standing ovations too.
But I'm actually surprised that the judge allowed all of this, because remember, usually a judge is quite strict in their orders for the courtroom that they must maintain that the courtroom is quiet and that there must be no outbursts. But what's very concerning is, number one, this is Boston. I lived in Boston for 3 years, and it's a very conservative state and a pro-police state. So,
Oh my God. First of all, Boston is not a state. Boston is a city. You lived here for 3 years. She goes, Boston is a conservative state. I think she meant Massachusetts, right? Because obviously Boston is not conservative at all. But guess what? Neither is Massachusetts. We're off to a rough start. Just to be clear, Massachusetts, if you look up the last election results, the 2020 election results by state. I'm going to look at this up right now. Wikipedia. Let's go to it. By state. Where'd it go? We're going to say, okay, here they go. Percentage. Okay, here we go. I'm going to pull this up and we're just going to see how true her statement is. So this is a percentage here that voted for Biden. This is least. So let's go to most liberal. Okay. Number one, Vermont, 66%. Number two, Massachusetts. More than Hawaii, more than Maryland, more than California, more than New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Delaware, Washington, Illinois, all of them. We are the second most liberal state in the country. Second out of 4. So we're 49 out of 50 when it comes to conservatism. 49. And she starts off her point by saying that Massachusetts is a conservative, pro-police state. We're off to a rough start. Go ahead.
So I'm surprised at the outpouring of support for a person that is accused of killing a police officer. Two, I will be very concerned if I was a prosecutor, because these same people are your jury pool. These are the people that you're going to be selecting from in order to find a jury to try to convince a jury to convict this defendant for the death of her husband. So I will be concerned if I was a prosecutor.
They are
Brian
concerned
Watkins.
about that. Oh my fucking God, with the commercials.
And chaos rolling in the multiverse.
What do you think of this scene, this scenario that is playing out?
I forgot to do a Rumble. It's a special show, so.
You know, I've heard of trying a case in the court of public opinion and trying a case in front of the press, but I mean, I never heard of anyone giving their opening statement, their closing arguments, laying out all their evidence. I'm surprised that guy didn't call witnesses at his press conference.
Okay, just stop right there. The fact that he goes, that guy, like, do you even know his name? Do you even know? Like, how you bring this guy on and he can't even learn the names of the attorneys involved? Oh, yeah, I've never heard of this. Yeah, welcome to the fucking story. A lot of things you've never heard of happen in this case. But again, that's why I'm kind of glad it's happening, because it is unusual. It is unusual.
You know, I've never seen anything like it. You know, like I said, it will take the jury pool. I mean, jurors may be scared to say, hey, man, if we vote guilty, I don't want to be, you know, attacked by this angry mob that may form. So,
okay. So this, I mean, first of all, fuck you, dude. We don't attacked by an angry mob. So like, that's your take on this, is that they're going to vote not guilty for Karen Read because we might attack you if you don't? No, they're going to vote not guilty for Karen Read because she's quite clearly not guilty, because she's factually innocent. The factually innocent Karen Read. That's why she's not going to be acquitted. Or that's why she's going to be acquitted, rather.
I think it is going to have some effect. I don't know why the judge isn't, you know, tightening the reins on this. I mean, there's, you know, courtroom decorum that's required, and applause is never really appropriate, you know, let alone on something like a motion or an argument from a defense attorney. So it has gotten way out of hand. You know, it's funny when I don't like the mob rule mentality, because a lot of these people don't even know what the evidence is
Whoa, fuck you. And this is where Vinny comes in. Vinny, the MVP. A lot of these people don't know where the evidence is. What, you know who doesn't know where the evidence is? You motherfucker. Why are you talking? We all know the evidence inside and out. We all do. We know it a million times better than fucking you. This dude, like, we all, and Vinny is the fucking MVP here. Watch this.
Isn't, you know.
But in this case, trust me, these people know. That truck that was driving by after it said free Karen Read, then came a piece of evidence, which was this alleged Google search from the defense says 2:30 in the morning. The prosecution says not so fast, 2:30 in the morning, but a Google search for how long to die in the cold. So the defense is saying 2:30, his body's not found till 6:30. That is somebody inside the house trying to figure out how long it's going to take for John O'Keefe to die outside. Take a look. You'll see it pop up right here. After justice for John O'Keefe and Karen Read, that's the Google search.
That's how
so they know the evidence.
We did that. Yeah, shut up.
Some of the evidence. And
some
the
of it.
is going to definitely have to explain that. But
some
you know,
of the
with every
evidence.
piece of evidence, there's two sides to every piece of evidence.
Yeah, so what's the other side? Let's hear the other side. No, you, like, this fucking moron hasn't been following any of this at all. There's two sides. Yeah, no shit. Let's hear their side. Love to hear it. Do you know? I know what their side is. I've heard it because I've gone to every court hearing. Have you heard it? Why are these morons invited on Court TV when everyone knows I'm the foremost expert on this? I'm certainly a lot more well-known than this asshole, whoever he is. I mean, again, that's not,
and you know, that's only one side.
Not
so
arrogant.
It's going to be interesting to hear the other side. And don't get me wrong, the prosecution will definitely have to explain that.
All right, Philip Dubé, you're in Los Angeles. This case is in Massachusetts, but it has an LA connection. Do you know what the LA connection is?
No, frankly, other than that Alan Jackson.
Alan Jackson. Yeah. Alan Jackson. He was a prosecutor out in LA, and now he's on the other side. What are your thoughts about how it's playing in Dedham, Massachusetts? You know, there hasn't been this much action in that courthouse since those two Italian
there
Americans
it
were
is.
wrongfully convicted years
He
ago,
can't-
𝗧𝘂𝗿 and
He
Vanzetti,
can't
in the same
go a
courtroom.
segment without mentioning that. It's
Well,
impossible.
first of all, the reason why he's on the other side is because he ran against a sitting district attorney to take her seat and lost. So he needed a plan B. He couldn't stay in that office probably, so he went private.
So he's shitting on Alan Jackson to start. First of all, Alan Jackson, I'm quite sure, is a millionaire. And I don't think he gives a shit if he lost the district attorney race to George Gascon or whatever Soros-funded douchebag is currently in charge of Los Angeles County. Like, I'm sure Alan Jackson is much happier that he lost if he ran for district attorney. But of course he has to start off with that jab. This dude. Relax there, orange tie.
Having said that, he's very successful, and don't get me wrong, he's very talented and very passionate about what he does. But make no mistake about it, Vinny, and maybe Bernarda and Brian will agree, there is a distinct difference between what I call the noisy minority and the silent majority. It's pretty easy to go out and collar and yank people off the street and offer them coffee and donuts to make a scene, a lot of noise and win.
Oh my fucking God. We all got paid with coffee and donuts. Philip Dubé, ladies and gentlemen. Do any of these, look him up on Twitter. Let me know if he's got a Twitter account. We need to bombard this motherfucker. Call him out on this shit. You don't get to say shit like that and not get pushed back. Give me a coffee and donuts. Yeah, I didn't even eat them. They came right at the end. I didn't pay for them. I don't know who sent those coffee and donuts. Somebody named Matt. They said Matt sent me coffee and donuts. I don't know who that is. So this guy goes, yeah, they were all, they're a mindless mob. Oh, shut the fuck up.
Tunnels with echo chambers.
Vinny comes through.
These people that are showing up have no connection to the defense team. This is not, and this isn't friends and family. I mean, one of the guys who started this movement didn't know anyone here. He just looked at the evidence and said, wait a minute, what's going on?
Daddy.
Okay, fair enough. But again, it goes back to what I started with, and that is that noisy minority, those few who want to get in the limelight, who want to be there, show their support, but it doesn't mean that it is the overall national or even statewide sentiment.
Oh my, like, tell me you don't know anything about this story without telling me you don't know anything about this story. If you've been following this story at all, you would know that we are not the silent minority in this, or the loud minority. We're actually the very loud majority. Like, poll anyone in this state who knows about this case. 99% of the people know Karen Reed didn't do this. The other 1% are Kevin Linehan, right? And like 5 other people. That's it. Everybody else knows what happened because they're smart. Stupid people like Kevin and stupid people like, I don't know, Carl Dougal, like, they still do whatever. They're pretending to believe it. This idea that it's a loud vocal minority. It's like, no, dude, you need to do some research. It's quite the opposite, actually. We're in the very vocal majority.
And in the end, all that really matters is what the 12 in the box feel and what they hear and what they see. Because in the end, the evidence is not going to encompass what is happening out now on the road, out in front of the courthouse. It's what's presented from that witness stand. And it'll be very interesting to see and hear what they've got separate and apart from all this media outcry and from this local throng. But I do predict that there will be compelling evidence that could go either way. You know, let's face it, both sides has what we call warts. There's warts and nuggets. And yes, the prosecution's going to take a hit, but we'll just have to see if the hit raises enough doubt to set her free or if it's just a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, well, you don't know anything.
I mean, I don't know how the jury's going to decide this. Just, I've never seen anything like this in the buildup to a murder case. I've never seen it. I've seen people protesting, wanting someone to be convicted. But I've never seen a situation like this where people are showing up looking for justice, and justice for them is not guilty. Unreal. All right. Think tank with us the whole hour. We've got more to talk about on this case up next.
Oh,
The legal battle is getting in.
Yeah, go fast forward to the panel again. Then we'll check out another panel on this that I want to get into. Let's go back to the panel. Oh, come on. This fucking commercial's on here.
So Black Lives Matter released their 990 IRS filing. They collected.
Okay.
𝗫𝗂𝗍. Is this just noise being made by the defense, Brian Watkins, or is this legit? These arguments they're making, these accusations they're making.
What do you know
in this case? Because it looks like they're going down the road of a conspiracy.
But it's not noise. They are saying very concrete, specific things. They're not just throwing, there's a conspiracy out there, something's going on and we don't know, but there's something smells bad. They are laying it out step by step, evidence by evidence, piece of evidence by piece of evidence. So they are very specific on what they're talking about. And listening to them, obviously there's reasonable doubt here. If not, they could prove that there's, police corruption. I haven't heard the prosecution's, rebuttal to this, but this is not noise. These are specific facts that they are laying out for the judge.
They watched the clips of it. They watched Alan Jackson and Liza Little and David Unetti in court. So now it's like they're learning about this for the first time by watching it.
𝗫𝗂𝗍, what are you hearing from the defense here as they're attempting?
That was better. That was
one
a better
of the allegations that Alan Jackson made was, listen, this footage, this supposed footage, it looks like the defense is looking for Google Nest video footage from the house that night, and they didn't hear about it until a grand juror, apparently from the transcript they found, asked about it, and the owner of the house said, yeah, I had a Google Nest, but then I don't think he ever hooked it up. Like, what? It seems like, are they reaching or are they truly uncovering something here?
Well, look, they're doing their due diligence. They're investigating every fact. Remember, if there is, in fact, Nest footage, that would be the closest thing to an eyewitness of what went down at that house. And just for viewers, I think most people know what a Nest system is. It's basically sometimes an indoor and an exterior nanny cam.
Oh, is that what it is?
Where you can see what's going on in the house. When you have a small child or you have a babysitter. It certainly picks up who is at your front door, what could be going on out on your porch, and the walkway leading to your porch. So that's important stuff.
Oh, is that what it is?
If there was in fact an actively
I mean, it's just like we don't all like this guy. This is like, again, the kind of thing you say when you forgot to do your book report and you forgot to read the chapter and you have to kind of wing it. He's like, so let me tell you all about a Google Nest. We know what a Google Nest is. What do you think about the fact that this was hidden, like, from the defense for the whole time, and that the prosecution knew about it and coached Brian Albert to say that it was a Christmas gift during the grand jury testimony? What do you think of that, sir?
Installed Nest video camera that did or could have picked up some type of imagery of what occurred that night, the defense should get it. It's fundamentally unfair that only the prosecution can have it, because it's the type of evidence that appears to have only been secured by search warrant. And the defense does not have the luxury of being able to swear out an affidavit of probable cause and serving that company with a search warrant to get that footage. So I think it's incumbent upon them to investigate it. And if it does exist and they're not turning it over, they have a discovery compliance date under their Rule 14 where the judge will order them to turn it over. The other key piece of evidence, honestly, the tail light fragments. Remember, she was seen on her own ring footage backing into a car and supposedly shattering her own taillight in the rear of her SUV, and that at the time she hit Mr. O'Keefe, that pieces of all that taillight were embedded in him, either on his clothing or on his person, but yet it has not been turned over to the defense to do their own independent analysis. Because trust me, if it doesn't match her SUV, this case is going away. That's reasonable doubt right there, irrespective of that Nest footage.
Like, and again, just shows this. So, like, if you think that's making this, if Lachlan, I think I said it right. If his testimony doesn't make this go away immediately, then what will? Like, what? Like, nothing's making this go away, except for an acquittal, a trial and an acquittal, or federal intervention. One of those two things makes it go away.
All right, Bernardo Villalona, I want you to take a listen to the assistant DA talking about something that they want to get their hands on.
What the Commonwealth is requesting is any and all video footage, including raw or unused or unaired video footage of interviews, specifically with the defendant herself.
Oh, this guy.
She submitted herself to interviews with multiple
Lock
news
Ren?
programs. The content of those interviews was sort of interwoven within a narrative story, which the Commonwealth would submit as a fair inference that there's additional footage that is available. In specific reference to the NBC, there's an indication from the broadcast that this is part of a larger program to air at a future date. These statements.
Oh, just picture like watching him compared to the other guys, and you're like, dude, everybody knows what's up. Just by watching. That's why I'm happy that Court TV aired this. The comments on the Court TV one are just overwhelmingly in support of Karen Read, because when you actually watch the proceedings and you're like, oh wow, this is fucking nuts. This is crazy.
The news broadcasts. There's an exception to the hearsay rule as far as statements by a party opponent.
Bernard, apparently in Massachusetts, they don't have that same protection that the media has in some other jurisdictions where you only get what we put out on the air. You don't get our work product. They want to see the raw interviews. If you were the defense, would you be a little worried if the prosecution gets their hands on the unedited interviews of Karen Read with ABC and with NBC?
Not at all, because I'm sure what the defense attorney did was prep Karen Read before she actually gave those interviews, especially since the defense attorney knows that anything that Karen Read says can be used against her in a court of law. So I wouldn't be concerned about that. But what I do see is that the prosecution here is trying to get the defense to do their job for them, because they want to use those statements, but they want the defense to provide those statements to the prosecutor for the prosecutor to use against the defendant. No, what the Commonwealth needs to do is that they need to try to get those statements and then evaluate those statements and then determine, is this something that they want to put in their case in chief? Is this something that they want to save if and when the defendant testifies on her own behalf?
What the fuck was that? And why are the kids talking in the background so much? Like, what did she just? I have no fucking clue what she's even talking about. Does anybody know what she's talking about? Yes, they want to see the tapes. Yeah, we got that much. What? I know exactly, man. She's just saying words. Like, what? Okay.
Brian Watkins, do you have to prep your client for a sit-down interview if they're innocent and telling the truth?
Not really.
Absolutely, you do. But you know, in reality,
not when
I've
your
been a lawyer
client's
for
Karen Read.
26 years, and you can prep a client and tell them, you know, stay away from this area, do this, do this. They get right in front of that camera on the interview, and they do exactly what you just told them not to do. So, but the funny thing about this is the defense has a great argument here. It would be providing, she has a right against self-incrimination. And providing those interviews, I understand that those interviews were taken not while she was in custodial interrogation and such. They were voluntarily given. But now she is under custodial interrogation, and she'd be handing over statements at that time, even though the statements were made prior. So there's a huge issue there.
First of all, that's not even what the issue is. They don't even care. The defense doesn't care if the Commonwealth gets this. The issue with this one is that they didn't serve NBC and ABC. Alan Jackson can't give you the tapes of things he doesn't own. Only they can. So talk to their lawyers. Like why are they even talking about this issue? This is such a waste of time.
The prosecutor needs to subpoena that stuff on their own from the news station. The defense attorney should not have to give them anything.
All right, folks.
Right.
Take
Okay.
a
That's
look. There's
true.
a lot happening in this case. And all these people showed up, by the way. This wasn't for the trial. I can't imagine what it's going to look like when the trial happens. We've got a pretrial conference November 3rd. Motions must be filed by the 16th of November. Pretrial hearing December 8th. Evidentiary motions January 5th. Final pretrial conference February 26th. And then look at it, folks. March
November 3rd?
Madness in the pretrial conference.
November 3rd. We'll be there November 3rd then, right? November 3rd. So there's that. Okay. So let's go on to the next panel here. These freaking idiots. Let's find some more idiots to talk about here. All right, I'm going to go to this one.
To Utah, retired police commander, host of the Profiling Evil.
I fucking hate this guy so much. And is like, gee whiz, Utah. I'm a former law enforcement guy, and gee willikers. This is Mike King. He has a YouTube channel called like The Face of Evil. He's such a useless glob of nothing. That's what this guy is. Just an absolute moron. And they constantly bring this guy on. Just an idiot.
Podcast Mike King in Jacksonville, Alabama, forensic death investigator, professor of forensics at Jacksonville State University, and host of the Body Bags podcast, Joseph Scott Morgan. And in Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, retired police sergeant with the Nashville Police Department, Melissa Pinkleton. Thank you all for being here.
Remember that name.
You all have a great perspective for this.
Okay, so as soon as I hear retired police sergeant, I know exactly what she's going to say. I know everything that this woman's going to say. She's a retired police sergeant.
As we work through this evidence, so let's begin with her story, and the story we just heard, Mike King, which is a very specific recollection of what happened that night. And the reason I'm wondering about that is that I know that her and her boyfriend, John, were going bar hopping that night. What I don't know...
Be right... Hold on. I got to go get a drink of water. Watch this video for a second. Hold on. I'll find the video. Let's watch a funny video. I don't know, I'm just going to throw... Let's see. Hold on, I'll find something funny. I don't want to put this one on.
Listen, indigenous isn't when you put your fingers in a dog's butt?
No.
No, that's what Kate's son put in his fucking sister. That's what the fucking indigenous.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
How about, oh no, you guys want to keep
That's not an allegation you get to make, you piece of shit.
Oh no, it's actually in the DCF report.
It's not, Aiden.
You know, but seriously, no, the court, I asked the court to prohibit him from discussing in public regarding my child. They agreed that he shouldn't. And then he puts it all up there anyway, right? And then tries to use my affidavit as some sort of bolster proof that a terrible rumor that he's trying to spread about my kids is true, even though I stated in it, it's not. But it still upsets them. How could it not, right? There's no fucking lies in that affidavit. That's what he's going to feed his fucking cult, right? You know, everything in there he's done in public. It's very, very, very public. It's all there, you know. And the judge is going to have to look at it, and he can bring up everything he wants about me. But the thing is, this has nothing to do with me. I don't give a fuck what he has to say about me. I'm not trying to restrain him from talking about me. It's got nothing to do with me.
I don't remember what that was. I just picked a random clip. Okay. Yeah, we're a cult. Whatever we are. I don't even know what she said. I just played a clip. That's Krusty Panties for those of you unfamiliar. If you're new here, she's this fucking psycho who stalks me. I think she posted on Twitter today that I was coming to her. She's coming to my house, going to my daughter's cheerleading competitions. Just crazy shit. Crazy shit. She is the official spokesperson for the Alberts and the McCabe's, and also is now being cited as a source in that other group that by Blanca. So there's that. You know, how about this one? Hold on.
I am going scorched fucking earth now. You do not fuck with my children. Everybody's going to pay the piper on this one. You should have never fucked with my kid.
And I'd like to point out.
Okay. Okay. How about this one?
He's mad at. Julie, if you ever hear this, you better kick and scream for that mandatory parenting class or terminate his rights. There is no in between. He will fuck those kids up.
Kids are fine. My kids are fine. Just FYI. Okay. So let's get back to this video.
Though, because I don't drink and have never drank, and I don't know if anyone here on the panel has, but that's not relevant. What's relevant is what someone will say they can remember is, I don't know how clear it is. In the interview, though, Mike, it seems like it's very clear to her.
Yeah, I guess that's a part that troubles me a little too, Vinny, and that is the fact that I'm not a drinker either, but I spent a career dealing with people who were intoxicated. The one thing that always is spoken about is the fact that the first thing that goes is judgment, and then your ability to recall facts. And the facts seem to be getting clearer as time goes on. And so I think it's going to be really important that those comments that were made, admissions that were made, or suggestions of what was going on in the early days of this thing are going to be the most important part of this case, because it's going to be people who are testifying. This is what I heard Karen Read say. It's going to be news reports where she's making comments or statements. And then if they are able, and what the prosecution's trying to do here, I think, is if they're able to somehow prove that that story evolves over time, that it gets better as things seem to be getting fixed, that's going to be problematic for the defense.
I don't even know what the
Joseph
fuck he's
Scott
saying.
Morgan, I think the problem is if she's got inconsistent statements, but they're not recorded and they're based upon what somebody else heard, if they accuse those people of lying about what they heard, the conspiracy allegation has to get larger and larger. Let me put it on the screen.
Like, I don't even know what they're talking about. Her Karen's statements have never changed. Karen didn't have any statements prior to when she went on Nightline and the Today Show. Prior to that, the only thing we heard from Karen is what Michael Proctor said Karen said, and what Katie McLaughlin said that Karen said. Play some more.
Joseph, in the Commonwealth statement of the case, they say this, that Ms. Roberts stated that she believed the defendant was still intoxicated in the morning and had told her that she did not remember last night. Ms. Roberts reported the defendant as stating to her, quote, "I was so drunk, I don't even remember going to your sister's last night," referring to Ms. McCabe's sister, the homeowner of 34 Fairview Road. So I start to get a little skeptical that things seem very crystal clear when you're talking to the folks in Nightline, but like the morning of this, you're so drunk unless Ms. Roberts
He's
and
lying.
Ms. McCabe
Yes.
are all putting words in her
Yes.
mouth and making this conspiracy larger and larger.
Yeah, that is significant. And, you know, the thing about it is you can't retroactively go back and measure anybody's blood alcohol level, can you?
They tried. They
those
tried.
Are just things that are
they actually did that.
You know,
They
opined
estimated.
about, you know, moving forward in a case. But there's something that she stated just a moment ago that ties back to another piece of evidence.
I'm with
here.
you, Nick. I think she
and
made,
that's where she stated that
made up.
the decedent exited the vehicle without a jacket. I'm kind of fascinated by that, and that goes to broader issues of evidence. I think I'd like to know more about from an evidentiary standpoint and from what the ME found about what type of clothing did this poor man have on his upper body. Okay, I want to know because I want to see what those injuries on his.
First of all, you want to know? You can just Google it. Like, what? You didn't research this at all? You came on TV and you're like, I want to know. It's like, so go on the internet and find out. You can find these things out. I want to know what he was wearing. Not much. And he goes, I want to know about the injuries. Well, Google his autopsy photos, read Turtleboy.
His arm, you know, kind of marry up to if there's any significant tearing external to that, whatever he had on. I'm presuming that it's a long sleeve shirt. You know, people have stated that this could potentially be an interaction with a dog, that the dog attacked him.
Yeah. You think
well,
so?
I want to know, how does that compare to any kind of insult that might have arisen from being struck by a vehicle? And that's quite easy to do. And I would want that clothing examined by somebody who is an expert in this area, specifically somebody that would be trained in fabric examination, maybe even tool mark examination. And I want that damn dog examined as well.
Like everything this guy said is true, to be very clear. Yeah, you should get the clothing. You should get Chloe. You should get all this. He just hasn't read into it, because if he read into it, he would know that like the defense wants all that. The prosecution's hiding all that. So these are good questions. And this is why it's just like, it's maddening that like they've never seen a case like this before where everything's just hidden. Like they have no fucking clue the insanity of the story that they've been brought on to talk about.
To try to understand.
I think the dog is
about
gone.
The bite mark.
I think that's part of the
Yeah,
problem.
and that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. But depending upon how that dog was disposed of, it might even be, unless the dog was cremated, I think that would be worth the time to try to do an analysis on this. And that's going to be on the part of the defense to make that happen. If that's what they're saying, then dog needs to be conjured up at that point.
Now, Melissa, take a look here. The defendant, this again from the Commonwealth statement of the case. The defendant told Ms. McCabe that she last remembered seeing the victim, which is John O'Keefe, at the Waterfall bar. Ms. McCabe then informed the defendant that she observed the defendant and the victim leave the bar together. Ms. McCabe also later informed the defendant that she had seen them in Ms. Reed's vehicle in front of the home. That they didn't.
Then they bring. Oh, listen to this idiot,
morning?
Melissa Pinkleton. Ready? Here we go. Listen to this idiot.
Yeah, no.
No.
When you think plenty of suspects that I've dealt with, plenty of drunks on the street for a long, long time, absolutely have blackouts, don't remember things, but I cannot think of one particular case where they have spontaneous memory that comes back and they're able to recall specific events, such as her statement that she walked, less saw him, got out, he walked up to the side door, then I looked down at my phone. That's very specific, extremely specific. So for someone who
The fact that this pig, and that's what she is. Oh, people, yeah, I don't like you when you use the word pig. Now we're gonna start calling them pigs, like the corrupt, stupid, moronic cops. We're calling them pigs. That doesn't mean all cops are pigs. Obviously, she's a pig, right? That this pig was allowed to be a cop in Nashville, and this is how she determined whether or not people were guilty or innocent. Was that, well, I don't believe you because your story's too specific. You remember shit. Yeah, she does, because she wasn't that drunk, clearly. And it was kind of an important night for her. You remember a lot of things that happened on a night like that.
had a lot of drinks, and judgment does go first, memory goes first, details get hazy. I'm going to find it really hard to believe that she all of a sudden was able to recover this many details.
So where that leaves us is, I think the defense may have to argue that all these folks, especially Ms. McCabe, are part of the conspiracy and are putting words in Karen Reed's mouth. Take a look at this one. This is a huge one, I think. Again, it's from the Commonwealth statement of the case. Defense does not necessarily agree with this, but while driving to Mr. O'Keefe's house, the defendant stated to Ms. McCabe, and this is when he's missing, right? So this is the following morning. While driving to Mr. O'Keefe's house, the defendant stated to Ms. McCabe, "Could I have hit him? Did I hit him?" Ms. McCabe stated that the defendant also stated that the defendant screamed to open the door and ran directly over to the body near the cluster of.
By the way, this is like the stupidest evidence. Like you're going to talk about this case, and this is what you're going to focus on. The statements. It's just like this. That's it. Like there's so many. How about the fact that Brian Albert didn't come out of the house? Can we talk about how fucking strange that is? Are we going to address that ever?
Trees and laid on top of him for warmth and began CPR. So I guess the allegation here from McCabe and Roberts,
right,
which will be from the prosecution, is that she knew the body was there. Nobody else saw his body laying there, but she knew where the body was because she's the one that struck him. What are your thoughts about that, Mike?
I think I'm really troubled by that for a couple of reasons, Vinny. Number one is that I've seen over and again in criminal cases that I've investigated where if someone's not discovered soon enough, somebody sets up somebody very close to them to be a witness to their discovery of them. And where the two witnesses are saying, I didn't see anything, I had to really go in and look in order to see him, and yet she in the back seat could see as we're pulling in. That's troubling to me from a behavioral perspective.
It's just troubling to me from a behavioral perspective. This guy wants to be like a Midwestern grandfather so badly. It's such a cliche. Like he's buying right into it. That like, oh, it's troubling that she saw the body. Have you been to the scene? Fat ass, have you been to the scene? Have you seen that there's no obstructions there? Have you seen that it was dusk and that there was a foot of an inch of snow on the ground? That's it. Illuminating the body. Did you know any of that? Did you do any research? But I guess it's just troubling to you that she saw the body. You fucking moron. Oh, these people should not be allowed to talk.
It's troubling to me. It's too bad she didn't know about the video of her backing in, tapping O'Keefe's car as she was leaving the home at early morning hour, because that would have been a great place to say, I might have chipped my headlight or my tail light there. But again, why does she come up with this story? Hey, and by the way, I bumped into a tree and chipped my tail light. And that comes out at this particular moment. It just feels like a whole bunch of staging going on.
Staging? Where did she come up with that? They looked at the fucking video, you idiot. She didn't come up with that. They looked at the fucking video. Did these people do any research at all? Again, when this is all said and done, these guys are all former cops, and them, I want them to go down the hardest. These former cops, when this is all said and done, they simped for cop killers. They don't get to live that down. You're a cop who fucking went on national television and stood up for cop killers. You don't get to talk ever again. There will be no amnesty. None.
To fix things. And I don't believe, or in my own heart, I don't believe that Karen Reed intentionally tried to run over and kill John. I mean, I think it's one of these terrible, tragic accidents, but there are so many things that are pointing that she was there and he was there, that again, those are going to be really difficult things to get past.
He was where and she was where. Yeah, she dropped him off at the house, you dumb shit. No one's fucking saying otherwise. That's going to be really hard to get past. How? Explain how that's going to be hard to get past. You can't. Oh, you fucking idiot. Yeah, there will be no amnesty. None. Absolutely none. We will never forgive these people for what they did.
Okay,
ever.
when we come back, perhaps the most important piece of evidence, especially for the defense.
Meet LitterBot, the revolutionary self-cleaning litter box that eliminates the chore of scooping.
With obsession.
Look at you guys. Look at you all. There's Half Hammer. There he is. Oh, thank you, Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal. I love that. That's the greatest name I've ever seen. Carl getting booed. Carl getting. By the way, oh, the guy behind him. Oh, that's Ken Dugal. See the guy? That's Pat's Nation right there. He didn't show up because we all figured out he was Pat's Nation. And he, again, another one, man. We're chopping them down. Kerry Roberts, no show. Laura Sullivan, no show. Ken Dugal, no show. This guy behind him, Anthony Bianco, no show. We are chopping these people down one by one and shaming them from coming out. We are shaming them. Public shaming works.
Okay. Chaos outside of that courthouse, right? It's in like a relatively small town, Dedham, Massachusetts. But the man leading all of that is a guy named Turtleboy. Had him on my show. And he's kind of got hooked on this case when he learned about one specific fact that the defense was alleging here. That fact was about a Google search that was done. Alan Jackson, okay, the attorney for Karen Reed, was on our program. The defense team was on our program and talked to us. And I asked them about this Google search. Here's what they said.
Why is Jennifer McCabe one of the parties that was inside the house that night? The sister.
The defense
used
celebrate.
They talk about the Google search. Oh, and so
time of a Google.
Who do they bring on to be the Google search expert? Let's see. Who's your Google search expert, Court TV?
Let me bring in a special guest joining us. Jennifer.
Oh my
God. Florida, retired FBI special agent.
Look
and an
at
expert in cell phone searches.
Moron.
Jennifer, great to see you. Thank you for being with us.
There is no amnesty for this cunt. None.
We all have these phones.
None.
For years. I've watched a million trials. Why would there be experts saying different things about the time that a search is done on a phone? How is that possible?
Why would Court TV bring somebody on who doesn't know anything about cell phones? None. She's never worked in a case with cell phones. This is not what she does. She's a fucking diversity hire, a retired diversity hire who whores herself out on television because she's obsessed with hearing herself talk. That's all this woman is. She's not an expert in fucking anything.
Well, how it's possible is essentially at that time, the 227 mark, she opened up a Google search, if you will, and that search was for actually basketball, ozone, a scoreboard.
What?
So now she's Googling, and then she also actually watches a video. Anyway, that window was essentially open. So the timestamp is from the earlier time that it was opened.
Oh my fucking God. Like they just have people come on TV and lie and just spread misinformation that she's a boomer, clearly gets a lot of work done, wants to pretend like she's like young and fly still. Okay. You're not, you're like 60, bitch. We see you. And she's like, they were Googling. She was watching ozone basketball scoreboard. Like, she's getting the story wrong too, by the way. Like that's the lie that Adam Lally said. Well, they couldn't have because she was actually looking at this at that time. No, bitch. The defense is proven through Apple cocoa time that is the and Celebrite that she brought that up at 227. She also did it. They always do this. They're like, no, she didn't Google it at 227. She Googled it at 624. No, she Googled it both times. They both came up on Celebrate. That's the whole point. She's a dumbass who thought that one search could erase the other. It's not how it works.
And so later, when she's with Karen Reed, who is asking her, please, Google this. How long can a body, be outside in the cold before they die, essentially? Then she Googles it. So the stamp is registering from when that window, if you will, was originally open.
What?
Okay.
From when that, like, what? Does that make any sense? She doesn't know a fucking thing. Word salad. They just make shit up. None of that makes any sense, whatever. She doesn't know what any of that means. She's just fucking talking. And the only reason she has this position, two reasons. Number one, she's a bootlicker because she's a cop her whole life. So she's going to immediately side with the cops. And number two, because of me. She's really dug her heels in because she's obsessed with proving me wrong. Like, that's it.
Okay, let me make sure I got this because you explained it very well. She picks up her phone, 2:27 and 40 seconds a.m., is searching something about sports. Maybe goes to sleep, leaves the phone alone. Later that morning, picks up her phone again, and in the same search bar in the same window, does the search for dying in the cold. And when you extract the information, it goes back to the prior search because it's the same window.
Exactly.
Now, is this common knowledge? Is this common knowledge,
Vinny.
or could experts disagree about this and create all this gray area? Because Alan Jackson was adamant that it was a 227 search.
Well, he needs it to be. He needs it to be at 227 for this conspiracy theory to hold some sort of water. But the fact is, it wasn't. And not
the fact is, not like the fact is. The fact is, it wasn't. Why? I mean, just like this, like, look at this woman. This woman's a fucking expert on Google. Shane, come on, Vinny. We need better review from that. It's like, so let me get this straight. I don't even know what they're saying here. So you Googled it at 624 and it brought up, like, what? So you used the same window that was open. I think what they're saying is here is at 227, she was looking at ozone basketball for some reason. After a night of drinking, she's going to watch ozone basketball videos at 227 in the morning. And then go to sleep, wake up. Karen Reed goes out, looks for the body. And at 227, Karen Reed tells her, Google how long to die in cold. Instead of asking, one of the paramedics there. She never asked her to do that, of course. That's a lie, too. And instead of doing that, so Jenna goes on her phone at 624, and she uses the same window that she was watching at 227 to Google how long to die in cold. And that's why it came up at 227, because she used the same window. She used the same window. Like, this is like a boomer explaining to boomers the internet, and she's passing herself off as somehow qualified in this because she gets her news from something called Crusty Panties. And that's not even a joke. She has shared her folder of information about where she gets stuff from, or the Dropbox, and it's from Krusty Panties. She still uses the Bristol Turtle Chick email address.
Not only are there going to be experts that lay this out much more eloquently than I did and explain in very technical terms how this can happen, there's also going to be Jennifer McCabe's testimony and explaining why she searched at a later time.
It's fascinating.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
expect,
Jennifer,
though,
like,
that the defense is going to have an expert to say something else.
Yeah, imagine being like, oh yeah, well, they'll have Jennifer McCabe's testimony. Imagine thinking Jennifer McCabe is going to be a good witness in this. Just imagine that. Like, it shows you, like, look at her fucking smile. Like, they brought this idiot on TV to say that.
Right. That's what happens in trials. Have you ever seen this issue come up before?
I haven't seen this exact issue come up before. Oftentimes, it's the Google search that is what does come up, and the timestamp really isn't that important. In this case, it's going to be important when that search happened, because nobody's denying that the search happened. They're denying when it happened.
All right, Jennifer Coffindoffer. Fantastic job. Laid it out very simply. I just hope a jury can understand all this. Appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's
my God.
bring back in our.
And then they bring
guests,
the
Mike
panel.
King,
Okay,
Joseph
watch
Scott
them now.
Morgan, Melissa Pinkleton. Mike King, do you agree? Because when I spoke with Alan Jackson, he was like adamant. 2, 27, and 40. I'm like, okay, I would think it'd be pretty straightforward. Wherever the time is, it is. But it seems like it's not as clear.
Yeah, exactly. Richard
at least
Green
there's a
will
little
explain it.
room for the defense to try to wiggle in here.
Yeah, but I think they're going to forensically be able to prove, and
you
Jennifer's
think?
right
You
on.
think?
I mean,
Oh, yeah, Jennifer's right on.
When that tab is opened up, it sends a message to the right activity log. It's called the wall, and we see it actually in the court documents. And that activity is logged, and it's chronologically kept. The challenge becomes that last search before. And you know what? It isn't deleting a file. I don't know how everybody else is, but I swipe my folders or my files off when I'm done using them. In essence, I guess they're deleting that file, but it doesn't mean that they're purposely trying to get rid of something.
Like, okay, like, it just shows that this is boomers. It's called the write ahead log, not the write activity log. He doesn't even know what the fucking WAL stands for. It's like, these boomers don't know a fucking thing about any of this. Nothing. Richard Green is a fucking expert in this. He says it happened undoubtedly because he used Celebrate. Jessica Hyde, the prosecution's expert, agrees. She concurs. She agrees with it. This guy doesn't even know what the right activity log. And when I X out, they're just making shit up, dude. They are just talking because these people like to hear themselves talk and they like to be on TV. And because they have fucking, she was a former cop and he was a whatever. It's like people think they know what they're talking about. They don't. You're smarter. Like, everybody watching now is smarter than the guy in the bottom left's okay, but you're smarter than the other two. 100%.
But the important thing is the reason this hasn't been seen before, Vinny, is because the technology wasn't there. That state investigator did it right. He analyzed the data right. Then the defense did it right, but they did it with a newer version that actually extrapolated more data deeper into the system. And they're going to be able to show, and I think recreate that very same thing to prove how that happens in the right activity log.
Oh my God.
Through that SQLite server, and it's a bunch of technical mumbo jumbo that I have spent a week studying and trying to understand how that happened.
Technical
but
mumbo
it all makes
jumbo.
sense to me now that I've started to see this thing lay out.
Oh, guys, it all makes sense to him. He researched technical mumbo jumbo. He actually said that on national TV. He researched for 1 week. He's done 1 week worth of research on technical mumbo jumbo. And now he knows more than Richard Green does. They brought this guy on TV and let him talk. This is a man who just likes to hear himself talk. He doesn't know a fucking thing about this. And by the way, he didn't study anything for a week. He made that up. He did not study a fucking thing. The only thing he studied is an extra grande burrito. That's the only thing this guy studied. Give me a fucking break.
out. And again, I think that's going to create a challenge when compiled with all of the other pieces of evidence that's going to make it really difficult.
Yeah.
All right, Justice Scott Morgan, can you obviously you can, but what's the answer to the question? How long does it take to die in the cold?
Well, it's dependent upon the rate at which the external temperature drops and the internal temperature drops concurrently. What? And it is an agonizing death. And, you know, it's also, it's exacerbated by someone that has sustained massive trauma. Okay. So you can have someone that has multiple skull fractures, for instance, in this victim's case, that has maybe agonal respirations that's just barely hanging on. And they would be, you know, prone to total system failure, as it's referred to, or massive organ failure that would lead to their death. And it's kind of it's a very passive way, I think, of bringing about a death if one were inclined to do it this way, you know, where you've got exposure. And there's any number of cases that are out there for hundreds of years where people have been left to the elements, if you will. But you add this extra layer on this massive trauma.
I don't know if they have. I don't think they have.
That's why it's going to be very important to listen very carefully to what the forensic pathologist has to say.
Or just look.
They'll also have charts, and they'll explain this. And, you know, because if the prosecution is putting forth this idea that cold was used as a method of killing, it's going to take some explaining and selling.
Like that's not an issue. Like what, these people don't know anything about the fucking case. I swear to God.
On Tuesday,
ready
to get more from your health plan? Start with our 5-step checklist. You'll find benefits you.
11 people have given statements that they did not see John O'Keefe enter the home at 34 Fairview that night. 0 people have said that they saw him enter the home. 0. No one. Conspiracy theories are not evidence. The idea that multiple police department, EMTs, fire personnel, the medical examiner, and prosecuting agencies are joined in or taken in by a vast conspiracy should be seen for what it is. Completely contrary to the evidence and a desperate attempt to reassign guilt.
Oh, shut up.
He's dismissing the conspiracy.
Damages to the right rear corner of glass that is then recovered from the bumper of
the tail light. Yeah.
Excuse me, some of this cocktail style glass.
I think I talked about the cocktail glass.
Evidence in
now
this
back
case.
to the panel.
Remember what the DA said at the top. Melissa, this conspiracy would include, I guess, Canton police officers covering up for the Boston police officers who were inside the house by taking that cocktail glass and embedding it into a bumper.
See, this is where Vinny needs to get his shit
Seems
together.
reasonable, doesn't it?
Oh my God. Seems reasonable, doesn't it? Like her fucking sarcastic bullshit. Oh, it seems reasonable, doesn't it? Like, first of all, Vinny, the officers, no. Like, it's Brian Albert. It's just Brian Albert. He's the only cop in the house. I mean, technically Higgins too, but Michael Proctor's not in the house. Michael Proctor comes along later. He's the one that does it. That's it. Like, they make it sound like it's like this crazy conspiracy when they start using plural, like officers, like all the cops are doing this. It's like, no, it's really just Michael Proctor, like in a whole bunch of taillight. That he's the taillight whisperer. That's it. That's the fucking conspiracy in a nutshell.
No, it doesn't. It's ridiculous. It's
It's
absurd.
ridiculous. Okay.
Now all these people are risking their lives and their careers to protect this woman. And
Wait. Take us behind the blue wall. So are you saying that a Canton police officer is not going to put his career, his pension, or her pension on the line to protect a brother in blue from the Boston PD?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. 1,000%.
Oh, okay. And what do you like? That's exactly what I said. Yeah. One cop would never protect another cop. That's what she just fucking said. This pig. That's what I mean. She's a fucking pig. The fact that this woman was allowed to be given a badge and a gun. And these are, let's be honest, let's keep it a buck here. I don't want to be a massage therapist, but this is diversity hire. Like they needed women on the force. That's why you're on the job. You weren't the most qualified. Hate to burst your bubble. You weren't the most qualified. They just needed a chick. It's the same thing with Jinduso. It's all you fucking people. Okay, not all of them. Sure, there's some good female cops out there, but you see Rafferty. She's a diversity hire. Completely moronic. Completely incompetent. Completely incompetent. You got your job because you don't have a dick. That's it. That's all. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You think you are. You think you're some expert on this. You don't know shit. This idea that the cops wouldn't cover for other cops is a fucking joke. I mean, that's how she starts off. And what Canton police officer are you talking about, Vinny? No, Canton police. It's like a state trooper. That's it. A state trooper who's good friends with the family.
Not going to happen.
Okay. Justice Scott Morgan, does the impact of the car, is that going to be enough? Like the picture I'm getting here is John O'Keefe with his cocktail glass getting out of the car, and then she's backing up and trying to kill him, and I guess striking the glass, and that's going to end up embedded in the tail light or the bumper?
Yeah, in the bumper. I think what I would like to see, I would want to know what the data is revealed per the examination of this. You know, the police or the prosecutors identifying this as embedded glass. First off, I want to know how deeply it was embedded. I want to know how they came to the conclusion that it is the same glass that they may have found remnant of on the ground.
So Erica asks a good question. Why are you showing these court TV experts, quote unquote? I would just stop showing. They're incompetent because we're taking names. This is a revenge stream. This is we're documenting everything and we're writing things down, and we're gonna remember what they said because there's no amnesty. That's what this is, the no amnesty show.
Because that is possible. You know, we study things like the fracturing of glass in forensics. I'd like to know from an elemental level how those things marry up and what testing they did in order to facilitate that. And as far as the embedding goes, that's a very dynamic event that you're talking about. Now, I've seen all manner of things where people are struck by cars, for instance, and imprints of cars left on bodies. And conversely, I've seen bits of tissue. I've also seen bits of items that are contained on bodies. I've seen buttons buried into bumpers before that have torn away from the clothes.
Okay.
Explainable, I think, is the most important thing here, and that you stick with the facts, because this is a big piece of evidence immediately.
It's a big piece of evidence.
Right. Mike King chomping at the.
Why don't you explain, Vinny, or any of these people? Why don't they know this? The glass that was on the bumper stayed on there for 80 miles round trip through a blizzard. And where did the glass come from? Has it been tested to be the cocktail glass? Have they done that? Where do you see the pictures of it too?
A bit, by the way, as I'm talking to Melissa, talking to Joe, I see him chomping a bit. I got two more things I want to share with you, Mike, and then hear from you. This is a Boston 25 report from September 8th. So it's from Boston 25. In Karen Reed's Thursday motion filed in the state court, her attorneys say it's hard to believe that there was no security camera installed at the Canton home. The motion includes grand jury testimony where the homeowner, Brian Albert, a police officer, said he received what he thought was a Nest camera for Christmas, but it was not installed. So the defense is saying, really? You don't have security?
I don't know that you can see it with what is John O'Keefe's
vehicle. What did they say here?
Able to.
All right, Mike King.
Listen to this guy about her backing into the car.
I looked really closely. This is where Joe Scott's team is going to come in so valuable, because they're going to be able to line up the wheel where it was last seen in the snow, how it was lined up to that back bumper, and if it's even physically possible that a tail light could have come in contact. I don't see anything. I mean, it's barely a tap and moves it. And yes, there would be glass there, but the problem is there's glass found at the murder scene. And
okay, you fucking moron. You fucking moron. There was no glass found at the murder scene, or no taillight found at the murder scene at 6 o'clock. If you did the research, you would know that. But you didn't do any research, period. All right, I mean, and Alex, I've seen the idiot that's on Kick. Word hasn't traveled far wide enough on TikTok because these people are idiots. Like, yeah, what can we do about that? We need to make, and I guess this is why I have to be on TikTok, because the world is on there, unfortunately, and we need to get the statements out there about this, because it's the boundless millennials of the world that are just, nobody takes boundless millennials whatever his name is, seriously, right? Like, I don't think he has any actual effect on people. I would hope not. But
and that's going to be so huge to get over. And you start adding those things together with her testimony of, hey, I might have hit something. She didn't say I hit something, John's car. She said I hit something as I was leaving. That's going to be really big, I think, Vinny.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Melissa, I'll give you the final word tonight. Again,
Here's
the
this
allegations from the defense, vast conspiracy, but it's all about an after-hours cop party, right? Police officers.
Melissa
working hard
Pinkerton is
and
this
then
woman's name.
partying hard. What's your overall take about, the camaraderie versus someone in that party committing a murder?
I mean, the camaraderie is great. We do work hard. Some of us party hard responsibly and don't drive, and we stay home. And some of us are less responsible. I think it's absolutely ridiculous to think that all of these people conspired and kept it a secret, and were able to, because one person alone can't even keep a secret, let alone all of these people and risk their careers.
That's all they have. That's all they have.
Completely absurd. And I think that her statements, the evidence that they have, that to get over as far as the glass being smashed in her car and the glass being at the scene, she's got a rough road to climb.
No, and that shows you how little research you've done. Anyone paying attention to this case knows that she actually doesn't have a rough road to climb. She has a really easy road to climb. The only road she has to climb is Auntie Bev. That's it. What sort of shenanigans does Auntie Bev have planned for the trial? Auntie Bev is fucking pure evil, man. She was at her worst the other day. The more I think about the way she was and how rude she was to Liza Little, and what she was allowing and what she wasn't allowing, and her focus on that fucking affidavit from Yannetti about her finances. Like, nobody gives a shit about Karen's finances. The point is she has to pay all this money for fucking experts to do the job that the government is supposed to do. And it's an uneven playing field for her versus the United States government. That's not fair. That's not fair. You need to lower the bail for that reason. So, all right, let me read a couple donos here and then we'll call it a wrap. I was only gonna do like an hour show tonight, but here we are. Okay. Jay from New Hampshire sends $10, says, great work, Turtleboy. Keep it up. Free Karen Reed. Shout out to G. Absolutely. Stefano sends $10, says, Turtleboy, you are the greatest mayor. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for all you continue to do. Steph, I appreciate that, Steph. Ann sends $25 and says, the micro dots. Let's see. The micro dots had me laughing out loud. Great job. And great job, Dr. Aiden. I don't know if the guy that runs Microdots wants me to tell him who it is, but I feel like he should get credit for it because the Microdots YouTube channel is fantastic. So thank you. Mary sends $10 and says the Canton Select Board meetings on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. are on September 26th, October 10th, and October 24th. I will definitely come to one of those. Definitely. Brian sends $25 and says, has the defense checked into any video from the interior or exterior cameras from Canton Police Department on the date Karen Reed's car was towed there? Any cameras that may be in the station garage where the Lexus was processed? That's a good question. The answer to your question is yes. I've been told that they do have pictures of Karen Reed's car in that garage with Michael Proctor and some other shady shit. Again, the defense held on to that Lucky Loughran affidavit for a year and a half. Think about what else they're holding on to. We still haven't heard the 911 tape. You know why the defense doesn't share all that shit ahead of time? In a normal case, they would. But this case, they don't, because no matter, it's almost like they're showing their hand. They show their hand, and then the prosecution comes up with some bullshit way to spin it. It's like you almost don't want to show them your fucking hand. Like, that's how shady, because you're not dealing with honest actors. You're not dealing with honest actors. So thank you very much. Turtle Rider sends $10, says, did you hear that Lunchbox had a trial last week that ended in a hung jury? Every juror hung themselves. I laughed at. That's hilarious, man. That made my fucking night right there. Turtle Tinder is actually the person that sent this. Oh, I love you. I love you, people. One key piece of evidence that we have not discussed Do we know Liza Little's marital status? I don't know. I can't comment on that. I think she has a boyfriend. I don't know. I've never asked her. I haven't looked at the finger. You just look at her fingers. You could probably tell, right? But all right, Turtle, I appreciate that. Sandra sends $5. It says, Dr. Turtleboy, remember that not everyone does continuing education. Everything changes. That's why Vinny mentions the Sacco and Vanzetti case, because if it happened before, why would they not try it again? No, I get it. He says it every fucking episode. Guaranteed he says it and I love it. I'm a history buff. I taught about Sacco and Vanzetti in my class. We did a whole project on Sacco and Vanzetti. When I was there the other day, I met the electrician and the plumber. They were like, you want to see the Sacco and Vanzetti cages? I'm like, I would, but I got to get upstairs real quick. But normally I'd love to see that shit. So I do have an appreciation for that, but just Vinny says it every fucking time. And that sends $10 and says, how about Vinny telling them that Yannetti got a tip from Brian Albert's friend? Let's start there. Sold the house, got rid of the dog. How about that? Never came out of the house. Jen deleted all her calls. Yeah, there's so much that Vinny didn't tell him. And again, but Vinny's getting there. You know, they all come around. Tina sends $5 and says, Nathan Reed has all the women simping. He's married, ladies. He's married. P.S. You're a fucking fraud, Nelson. You're a fucking fraud, Nelson. Nelson is Steven Nelson. Steven Nelson, I assumed was a cop, but it turns out he's the victim witness advocate for Michael Morrissey's office. So he works for Morrissey, and he sits in court and lies to them. Every time the defense says something and points out something factual, if you look over, Steve Nelson turns to them. He's like, that's not true. So he is paid by Morrissey to just lie to the victims' families. That's it. He lies to the victim's family about this. That's his job. Do you like your job, Steve Nelson? You shit dick, sackless loser. Like, this is what you're going to tell your friends and your family that you did on your deathbed. What did I do with my life? Well, I lied for some fat piece of shit called Michael Morrissey, who's, died in federal prison because he's a corrupt piece of shit. I lied for him to victims' families. That's what I do with my life. You fucking loser. You absolute loser. You disgrace. You absolute disgrace. And do we have any other turtle chats here? I mean, let me check the cash apps. Claire McKenna sends $20 and says, a beer for you and the Druid. Free Karen Reed. Yeah, my guy David Owen is coming over here from Wales, I believe on Wednesday. So hopefully we're going to be hanging out Friday night in Milford. I'm going to meet him. I was going to do a stream. It's just too much to do a stream live. Too much goes into it, and it would be a crowd, and it would be a lot. Like what they did at the Star Drive-In, like that was a lot of work putting that whole thing together. So it's just a lot of work. So I'd rather just hang out on Friday and then do the live show on Sunday, because Saturday, no live show. Notre Dame, Ohio State's on. I apologize if you don't like the foosball there, but I'm a big Notre Dame fan, and you can only lose once in college football. So every game counts. So I appreciate that. All right, cool. Anyone else have any other questions before we call it a night? Anyone else? I know it's too funny, man. It's too funny. All right, guys. So I guess we'll call it a night. And we will see you guys tomorrow night for the live show. Peace, Turtle Riders.